It's right about 7. Let me see. Yes, a little after 7. So good to see everyone. Welcome to Thunder Thursday, the college player roundtable. So I'll just do a quick introduction of our alumni and college players. I'll just on my screen wait. So we have Lexi Wong at Austin College, and Brooke Lee, Austin College. Nate Winkler, Gannon. Carly Manuel at McKendree. Aaron Weissert from Wagner. Brett Skinner, Austin College. Zach Lowry, CBU, Cal Baptist. And Galen Hu, Brown. Max Wade, Austin College. Gabby Gervasi, Marist. Rylan Russell, LMU. I'm just scanning through. I think that there's anybody I missed. I think, yeah. And Catherine Cullen, sorry, at Pomona Pittsburgh. So, all right. So, welcome. Thank you guys for all the alumni. I appreciate y'all coming on. What I think I'll do is I'm not going to ask everybody to answer every single question. So I may just kind of give you if you feel passionate, you really want to speak up about one of the questions, then, but I think I was going to ask everyone to start with their favorite thing about playing college water polo. What do you love the most about it? And so I'll call you and let you have an opportunity. You can unmute and then go from there. And then players, if you weren't here, if you think of a question, feel free to type it in the chat. And if we don't get to it, we'll one of the coaches will let me know. Either Jeff or Trevor will let me know. Okay. So the first thing, this one we'll let everybody answer because it's kind of, everybody might have different perspective. So what is your favorite thing about playing college water polo? So we'll start on my screen. Lexi's and Brooke are up in the top corner. So.
My favorite thing about playing college water polo is definitely like becoming family with your teammates and getting to spend every day with them and like getting closer, and obviously like learning new things from like different coaches water polo wise.
Yeah, definitely that. And then I also really enjoy the traveling and being able to play against high level athletes.
All right, thank you. Catherine's up next to me on my screen.
Yes. Okay, so my favorite thing is probably the same as Lexi and Brooke, but just like being super close to the team and getting to learn new things from coaches and have a new perspective on the whole game of water polo.
Okay, thank you. Nate, you're up next.
I would have to say probably the intensity. Even if against like teams that may not be equal, they still give it their all, and it still, can be a pretty good game. Things can change. I've seen a lot of games where a certain team was destined to win and they just came out on top out of nowhere. So I would say that's probably one of my favorite things.
Awesome. Carly.
My favorite thing is just playing on a higher level, like seeing everyone that's like better than you or equal with you. It just pushes you to work harder and like play harder because you know that you have to work to get your position. And I don't know, it's just the higher level of work ethic. And yeah, so.
Great. Okay, Aaron.
I would say obviously becoming a family with my teammates, but also one of the my favorite memories of college water polo is we've gotten to go to the NCAA tournament twice, and that's just such a cool experience to get to participate in and be in something that you always dream of as a kid, and then I have been lucky enough to be able to experience that.
Awesome. All right, Brett.
I'd probably say the travel as well. Even though we only travel 4 or 5 times, it feels like every single trip is just like JOs, and it's even more intense than that. Every single game is super close, and it just makes it all more satisfying.
Great. Zach.
I would say I feel like college water polo is more of a commitment. So everyone's willing to put in 100% effort. You don't always see that at the high school level. So that was a big thing for me. And then obviously going and playing against people you grew up playing against. I love when we play Brown or LMU or even Austin College, seeing everyone that I used to play with is pretty amazing to see how much growth there's been.
Fantastic. All right, Galen.
Yeah, just to echo what Zach was saying, just like being able to travel with your team is amazing, but also being able to see and connect with old friends on across the country is actually really, really rewarding as well. So I really like that too.
Yeah, I know, like I mentioned everyone's schools, but we have a great diversity here of, people East Coast, West Coast, small school, Division III, Division I, Ivy League, in California, in the central part of the country, the Midwest, so in Pennsylvania. So we have quite a great group here. So we're very proud of our Thunder alumni. So, all right, up next, Max, what's your favorite thing?
I probably have to say like competitiveness in games, because everyone on the college level is, like 99% of the players are very good players, and it's just fun to like learn in each game and be competitive with, the best kids in the country. Because not everyone goes on to play in college, but if you do, like, there's not really a bad player I've ever played against.
Great. All right, Gabby. Oh, we can't hear you. We got to unmute.
I would definitely say like the team aspect and like being able to compete and travel with your best friends is pretty cool. And also like I get to see Aaron like every weekend. I get to see Sophia and Sydney. So it's super cool to see people that you played with all your life, like at tournaments. I see Catherine a lot too. So it's cool.
All right, great. And Rylan.
Yeah, definitely the level of play is something that like I really enjoy. I really enjoy getting to play against like the really good teams where they'll have national team players from this country or from USA, and just having the ability to play against players at that level and just learn. Like even when you're playing against them, it's really cool to be able to learn something new. With players who are going to play this sport professionally and who are going to play after college, and yeah, like Zach was saying, it's really fun to be able to like see old teammates at tournaments and watch them playing games and like see how they play with their new team and how they've developed as players.
All right, I think I got everybody. So now I'm going to start doing a little jumping around, because we won't have time to answer all the questions, but I may just pick one or two and then let you answer the question. So we'll go to Brett Skinner. All right, so Brett, what's the biggest difference between college practices and club practices?
I think one of the biggest differences is just like the level of intensity between club practices and college practices. With club, like you can split up between your own coaches and you have a little bit of downtime between sets. But with college, it's like boom, 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 like back to back to back. There's like no break. It's drill to scrimmage, and there's not any time between to like relax and take a break or a breather. And I kind of like that. I like that ability to like maximize as much time as possible to get as many reps in as you can.
All right, let's see. Let's have an East Coast female perspective. What do you think, Aaron? What do you think your biggest difference between college practices and club practices have been?
The biggest difference with my team is that we, especially in the off season, focus very heavily on swimming. Like in off season, we swim anywhere from 7 to 10,000 yards a day, and that's definitely a big difference from what we did during my time at Thunder. And also, just like Brett said, the intensity, it's a much higher level. Like you're always going. There's always an expectation to perform your best, and so that's, I would say, the biggest difference.
All right, great. Yeah, I meant to tell all the players, feel free, y'all speak honestly, good, bad, whatever you like, whatever the question is, don't hold anything back. So, just be honest with the kids. That's all that's why they're here. They want to learn things about, so we have all this time, might as well take advantage of it. All right, we'll go to the next one. What advice do you have about recruiting? So just any recruiting advice. So let's go to either Lexi, Brooke, or Presley. Presley's now joined us. So any of your things about recruiting, what did you think? The recruiting process.
Yeah, so basically just don't think that you're never good enough, because there's always a spot and always a school that will fit you. And yeah, Lexi?
everything that you're doing now in high school, like people are watching for college coaches. So like just be aware of like whenever you have a bad attitude in a game or you're talking back, like people see those things, and that's very important in the recruiting process too.
All right, thank you. We'll go West Coast. Zach, what do you think about what's the recruiting process? You know, because you've been on both sides, you're recruiting other players and you've been recruited yourself. So in terms of getting to a school, so tell us.
Yeah, so it's definitely reaching out like to a lot of schools. That's a big thing. I feel like a lot of times you limit to yourself what you think you would want, but go like out of your way to reach out to schools that like you didn't necessarily think were high on your list. Like I reached out to CBU because Daniel Laverne went there and I knew of it. You know, it wasn't really high on my list right off the bat out of high school. But then it turned out to be like my favorite visit. And then the team was like, it's changed my life for the better, you know? So I definitely think that aspect of like going out of your comfort zone to reach out to coaches that you don't necessarily know, like if you'll like or not.
All right, we'll move on to the next one. Let's see, is it hard to balance schoolwork and athletics? So the schoolwork and athletic balance, and I think the best place to start would be somebody like Galen, who had to do Ivy League. And so, you know, one of the most rigorous academic places, and, D1, Division I water polo. So what can you tell us about balancing schoolwork and water polo?
I would just say it's honestly very similar to what the high school experience was like. Just because in college, even when you're in season, I would say you still have a lot more free time than you actually did in high school because you only have a couple classes a day. Whereas in high school, you're basically sitting in a classroom for 8 hours a day, you know? So I think it's just really important to stay regimented, to find like a good schedule that fits you well as a person. And perhaps like balancing your easier courses when you're in season and maybe tougher courses when you're out of season, it actually really helps as well because unlike high school or club, there is like a true off season, I would say, in college where the athletic expectations are greatly decreased. And I would definitely say take advantage of that to as much as you can when you're trying to pursue like your more challenging classes or extracurricular activities and stuff like that.
Okay, Rylan, can you let us know a little bit about your balancing schoolwork and athletics for you out at LMU?
Yeah, so I would agree with Galen. It's a lot about how you manage your time, how you manage your schedule. But I know at LMU, I'm sure this is how it is at a lot of schools, but the athletics program does a really good job to make sure if your GPA is falling or if you're not doing well in a class, they're like on top of it, making sure you're coming into study hall, doing your hours that you need to do. And then for students who are really, really struggling, they, are like checking up on the quizzes and the assignments and the tests that you're doing. But yeah, it's all about time management. I think that's a big thing for any student athlete in any sport is just making sure you balance the social aspects of college with, your job, which is to play water polo and be a student.
That is true. That's interesting. Just so kids know, like, college athletes, that's their job. So I know he said it, it's not a joke. The university is asking you to commit a lot of time and energy to represent them. And so that's your expectation is you're going to work for them. So I know it sounds kind of funny. Oh, your job is to play water polo, but it is actually kind of at the collegiate level. So, all right, for the next thing. So it is, what is one thing you wish someone would have told you before you got to college to play water polo? Let's see, Max, what do you think? What is one thing that you wish somebody would have told you before you got to college?
I'd say on like the academic side, like just go in there and get a ton of momentum first and like keep up, your like academic momentum so that if you like, even if you have any downtime, it's very easy to get, behind in college, but if you make a schedule, you'll just like breeze through without an effort.
Very true. Nate Winkler, what do you think? What's one thing you wish you would have known before you got there?
Kind of did this by accident, but it's something I suggest to anybody in high school, take summer classes, take like college credits in high school. If you can front load stuff, that way whenever you're in season, you can take less credits. So I know that really helped me in the fall whenever water polo season was starting. I could take less credits and focus more on, keeping my physical capabilities up, and also, have more time to focus on the other classes that I was doing at that time.
Very good. Carly, what do you think? What is one thing you wish you knew before you got there?
Okay, so I wished I knew like how stressful it is like going in as your first year. Like when I first went in, like I was like always trying to like do everything perfect, like be the best. And like obviously like you can't put that stress on yourself. Like just go in, do what you can do, and like that's all that you can do. And when it comes to game time, like just put forward your best foot and just don't stress, because you're just going to do the best that you can, and that's basically all that you can do.
Okay.
Don't stress.
Next question. What is your, I guess, let's say it says schedule, but let's say your daily schedule, and we're talking about in season. So Gabby, what do you think? What's your in season schedule look like?
We usually have practice really early in the mornings, and then after practice we eat as a team, and then we all do our like homework or go to class, whatever we need to do during the day, and then we'll all usually come together in the caf or the cafeteria for a team dinner. And then like that's Monday through Friday, and then Fridays we travel, and then we play Saturday, Sunday, or sometimes just Saturday, and then Monday we just repeat. So
just like based on that question there, raise your hand. How many of y'all have film time? Raise your hand. Y'all have, like, is it multiple times a week, 2 to 3 times?
It depends. Like sometimes he'll send us stuff that he wants us to watch on our own, and then we'll go back and watch it together and like see what we've noticed. And sometimes we have some games where we just need to watch it all together and go step by step through it. But most of the time, it's a little bit of a combination of both, like watch on your own and then come and watch with everyone. At least for me.
Let's see, Aaron, let's tell us a little about your off season. I know you mentioned swimming a little bit, so just kind of what's a rough week. I know just so everyone knows, if you play at Division I, they're allowed to work out in the off season. So that's the fall for the women and the spring for the men. And but Division III, which there's few athletes here at Division III and Division II. Division II has a lot of off season, but Division III is not. So they're very limited how much they can do. So everybody's schedule is going to be a little different. So Aaron's Division I in the East Coast. So a little bit about your off season.
So in off season, we start off the year doing 8 hours a week. So what that looks like is we'll usually lift from like 6 to 7, and then we have like an hour break, and then we're in the pool 8 to 9:30. And then when we get to 20 hours a week, we'll lift 6 to 7 in the water, 7 to 9:30, and then after that. My schedule looks a little bit different than my teammates, because I'm in nursing school. So after practice, I'll either go to class or I'm in the hospital. But our stuff is always in the morning, and then we do film in off season about once a week. And what we do is our coach will like film practice, and then we go back and we watch practice and see what we can improve on in like before we get to season, like individually as a team.
Very good. Up next, let's see. How physically were you prepared for college practices? So we'll say the threesome up there, Lexi, Brooke, and Presley. Any of you is fine. You feel free to chime in together if you want. How physically prepared were you for college practices?
So for me personally, me and Lexi, we did swim team. We joined the swim team in the fall, and then so we were prepared in the spring for the conditioning.
It really helped.
Yeah, it did really help. It was really, really hard balancing our time. But yeah, basically our practices consist of every single day, at least half of the practice is conditioning. So I think mainly it's not really being physically, obviously, yeah, you need to work out and stuff, but you'll get to the point through coaching and practices where you are physically ready, but you need to prepare yourself mentally to be prepared.
All right, let's see, Rylan, what do you think about the, how physically prepared were you for college water polo practices?
Swimming wise, I came in like one of the more in shape swimming, because I feel like Texas, I feel like Thunder does a good job, and I feel like the high schools in Texas do a good job with their swimming programs getting us ready for that. The physicality of water polo, I probably wasn't as prepared as I had thought, because as a senior in high school, I was like one of the stronger guys, so I could just like muscle my way through a lot of stuff. And then when you get to college, like not only is everyone stronger than you, but they're also a lot better than you. So it's like, I definitely wasn't ready for that. And I think that was a huge part of growing as a player freshman year, figuring out just being like more tactful and more skill-based than just aggressive. And then also just putting on weight, like that's a big thing in a lot of programs is putting on weight your freshman year. It's something that we do at LMU, and I know like Stanford and USC, you have to put on a certain amount of pounds, you get cut. So it just depends on the program, really.
All right, thank you. Let's see. Have I done 2 of those? I think I did. Yeah. Let's see. The next one is how much conditioning is there compared to drills and skills and playing time, like scrimmaging per practice? So let's say Brett at Austin College. How much conditioning compared to drills and playing time?
So our practices usually run for like 2.5 hours, and conditioning is like all swim for the first like solid 30 to 45 minutes. And then we have drills straight for another 35, 40. And then scrimmaging is the last hour 15. And that's different like types of scrimmaging, like different types of games or scenarios, or just half court or full court.
Okay. So Catherine, what's a West Coast E3 school look like?
Yeah, so in season, in the morning, we do 2 hours of water polo. We always get our water polo done in the morning, and then we have conditioning in the afternoon. So we do about an hour in the pool, and then we go straight to the weight room and do about an hour of weight. So it's pretty much 50-50.
Galen, what do they do at Brown? What kind of percentages conditioning to drills and scrimmaging and stuff?
Kind of depends on what part of the season we're in. I think if it's early season or preseason, it's more than half conditioning. When you're kind of getting close to championship season, then it's usually like a 20-minute swim set before we get right into practice. But we still lift like 2 or 3 hours a week throughout season.
Okay, let's see. What about Carly? What do you think about how much conditioning at McKendree there?
Okay, so it, like Galen said, it depends on the season. Like if we're in off season, we swim a lot more, and then preseason, it's like all swimming pretty much. Like it's really awful. But during like actual like season, when we're having tournaments and stuff, we do a lot more just like drills and stuff, and then we have a lot of time to scrimmage because we want to work on playing as a team. So it really depends on like what part of the season that you're in to how much you're going to condition. So
okay.
Yeah.
We're down to we have less than 10 minutes, so we got two more questions, and then we'll Max, what do you think a high school freshman should start working on right now to get prepared to play for college water polo?
I'd probably say swim as much as you can, like pretty consistently. You should be on a high school swim team if you want to go play and be successful in college. Like that's just the basis of water polo. As well as like getting in a good practice schedule and school schedule, just so you're not, completely shell-shocked when you get to college. Because it is a difference, but it's manageable.
Okay. Gabby, what do you think? What are some things that a freshman could start doing right, or should be doing if they're trying to prepare for playing college water polo?
I would suggest starting to lift, just learning how to lift. And then also I would recommend when you're in the pool, like whenever we're doing fundamentals, I know it could sometimes be boring, but whenever you go to college, they're really important, especially when there's a whole bunch of different styles of playing. So if you have the fundamentals, then you're able to learn and adapt.
Okay.
That's my advice.
Well, we want to welcome in Zach Shelley, one of our Air Force Academy water polo players. So welcome, Zach. Thanks for coming by.
What's up, Coach?
We're just popping around answering questions, so I'll throw one to you. What do you think a high school freshman should start doing now to prepare for if they want to try to play college water polo?
I'd say like general knowledge of the game. Like it's pretty easy to catch up with people physically, but players that have more experience playing in high level games just understand game situations better, like shot selection and 6-on-5 and stuff. And the quickest way to like get people angry at you is to like take a bad shot rather than like take the right shot but it not go in kind of thing. So yeah.
So game experience and making decisions and all those things. Fantastic. Yeah, great answer. I think the last, we have 5 minutes or so. It says, is it easy to adapt to living away from home and fitting in with the team? See, Zach, Lowry, what do you think? Is it easy to adapt living away from home, and since you had to move a far way away?
It took a little while. I'm not going to lie. My freshman year kind of like it was rough. I definitely thought about transferring after freshman year. So you miss people at the beginning. So after that, you start to get into like I would say after like a semester or two, you start to get into like a group of guys or group. Like you really start to find your brothers in your team, you know, and you start to grow within that. And I would say after it takes you a year. It's not easy.
So everybody, you know, I think Joe and other people, like you said, college kids, you got to go that second year, and because the first year is always going to be hard. So, you know, those young ones, if you're hearing that, you don't get discouraged after the first year, and you got to give it 2 and see if it works. So, Aaron, what do you think about? New York had to have been a big change from North Texas. What do you think?
Yeah, so it definitely was a big change living in New York City. One of the great things that I had was my freshman year, all the freshmen on my team lived on the same floor, and I was a roommate with a girl on the team. The other good thing is that kind of being in New York, there's not a lot of water polo around there, so we're all far from home. So because no one has their families around, we're all able to really become like each other's families because that's all that we have close to us.
Great. Nate, what about moving to Pennsylvania? That's got to be a lot different than here. What do you think?
Yeah, so I mean that would be my second time moving just to a completely different area from obviously when I first moved here from California to Thunder, and then from there to Pennsylvania. But I would say definitely being involved. So like when I moved to Texas the first time, I wasn't involved in anything until I started Thunder. And then when I started Thunder, I started meeting people and making friends, and it made things easier. So when I went up to Pennsylvania, I kind of applied the same principle. Not only did I get to know like my teammates really well and hung out with them, but I also hung out with like the people I lived with in my freshman dorm. So like my roommates, the people who lived like next door to me. And so it just made things a lot better because you were always around familiar faces, people you could talk to, you know, get to know people who are local to that area who could help you if you need help. You know, it's just, I would just say, you know, be involved. You know, don't be afraid to talk to people and initiate contact with just about anybody.
Fantastic. I think we're going to wrap it up. And what I'll do is I'll just kind of go around. First of all, I want to thank all of you for doing this. I really appreciate it. We're very proud of you. Every time in season, I'm checking the box scores and trying to watch as many games as I can. So I do want to thank you for that. Y'all are an inspiration for the younger generation of kids coming up. So we appreciate that. And, you know, blazing the trails for the younger kids and letting people know that, you know, Thunder and Texas produces water polo players. So Last thing, I'll kind of go around player by player, and if you want to say any last thing, we have 3 minutes. So Lexi, Brooke, and Presley, if y'all want to say anything, then we have 3 minutes.
Yeah, so to the kids listening in, basically just make sure that you're taking every practice seriously and you respect your coaches, and you're making sure that you are coachable, and that whatever you learn in one practice you take into the next.
Also, it's going to be a lot of hard work, but it's really worth it in the end. Like, it's really fun to be on a college team.
All right, thank you. All right, Nate, any parting words?
Just go in with an open mind. You're going to be experiencing a lot of new ideas, new techniques, new coaching techniques, players who play differently. So, be a little flexible, be able to adapt.
All right, Carly?
I would say find a core group of people that can support you, because it's okay. Water polo is going to be stressful. School is going to be stressful, and it's a complete change from what you're used to. So find a core group of people, even if it's on your team or just in your classes, so that you can have people that are there for you when you're having a hard time and need someone to be there for you.
Okay. Aaron?
I would say that, playing D1 water polo has been the hardest thing that I've ever done, but I wouldn't trade the experience for the world. It's the best choice I've ever made.
Good, thank you. Gabby?
Aaron basically said what I was going to say. It's hard, but really rewarding. I wouldn't change my decision for anything. And it's the people you meet, and the experiences you have are awesome. So I would highly recommend it.
All right, Max?
I just say go have fun, and even if you don't go play in college water polo, always be involved in it, because it's going to make a place in your life later on. So.
All right, Galen?
Yeah, I would just enjoy the time you have at Thunder too, because I felt like most of the time while I was at Thunder, I just kept on looking forward to the next step, and you don't really miss the friendships you build there until after it's been a few years and you're looking back on it.
All right, Zach?
And then hopping off what Galen said, you only have 4 years of college. It goes by quick. So take advantage of every moment. Don't be afraid to go out of your comfort zone and be the best on the team, work your hardest. That's what I emphasize more than anything.
All right, Brett? If we don't get to Rylan and Zach, I'm sorry. So if it shuts off.
I just like to say, yeah, even though you go to college wherever you go, just don't forget where you came from and your friends you grew up with through Thunder. I mean, it is fun playing against them and seeing them and see where they went and stuff.
All right, Rylan?
Yeah, I mean, basically what everyone else has said, just have fun, make sure you're, not getting burned out of water polo, do what you can to enjoy the sport. And it's a lot of fun in college. If you can work hard enough and dedicate yourself in high school, it's a great experience.
Zach?